Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. So today's class, I will be doing my best to debunk some misinformation that I'm sure most of you has been informed already. Number one, there's this news that's been circulating around in your Telegram and Facebook and WhatsApp. You see, this kind of things, they are not new. They happen every time when it comes. Every time. I heard there's this one group called, I don't have to say that. There's this one group, Telegram group, where you get to confess or say anything you want about whatever happens. I'm not in the group. I heard people tell me. So there's this one person from that group whom I don't know, trying to convince you all that he got to university with only pen 2. He got to university doing his degree with only a band 2. Band 2 in Muet lah. Let me be clear about this. Last I checked, there are courses offered which requires a band 2 entrance. There are courses. If I'm not mistaken, in the course is counseling in education. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but you can check it yourself. So, assuming other universities also have those kind of courses that requires only a band 2. Okay, number one. Number two, you don't know who this person is. Is he real? We don't know. So now, you have your lecturer standing in front of you. You have your number one source of information. Take my word for it. Do not screw your Muet up just because this one person said, I was at university walaupun band 2 je. You see, this guy, this particular person is not being honest. Number one, there's no names. Number two, you did not say anything about which batch are you from. Number three, who is your English lecturer? Number four, which university are you in now? Number five, what course are you taking? So, in this age of easily acquired information, whether it is wrong or not, please make sure before you trust any information, make sure you know where it comes from. Daripada mana. For example, from Telegram, I don't care about any other news regarding any information coming from the Majlis Keselamatan Negara, the National Security Council. I will not take from any other sources but the newspaper, the news on TV, or now that I follow official Telegram channel of Majlis Keselamatan Negara. So I'll only take my information from there. If I'm going to pass a poster from there, it has to be from there. I takkan pass daripada benda lain. Because people's editing skills are getting better and better. Okay, so that is one. That is about trying to demoralize you or trying to tell you to be too easy on web. Okay, that's number one. Number two, this thing happens every year, especially in web speaking. It happens every year. You will have tips, skills, tips and tricks on whatever Muet speaking related. This usually don't happen with writing, listening or reading, only speaking. So one thing I noticed in the benda ni berburu. One thing I noticed in that particular message, I think some of you got it already. It's you ada terima apa-apa message today. There's a possibility that you're going to also accept it. You are going also to read it today. Because I got it already. Biasanya budak-budak dapat dulu, baru lecturer dapat. Ini gini. It says there, in the last line, do not prompt, do not ask other candidates to respond. Of course, you don't do that in task A. Task A is individual. Jangan buat kerja task. No. You're talking about task B. Class, task B is called group discussion. How are you going to discuss things in a group if you don't ask? For example, there's a group of 4 there. Okay. So candidate A here asks, cerita Ali Setan sebenarnya best kan? She didn't ask anyone, so the other 3 is like, tapi dia dah jawab jugalah kan, dia ujung kan. Best, I'm not asking you. Dah, common sense lah. Common sense lah tu. It's common sense. Macam mana you nak interact? How do you interact if you don't ask questions to other people? And in that message, it says don't ask. Since my 3rd or 4th year teaching, I've been doing Muet speaking sampai last year. I was the examiner. Ni examiner nak khabar. Don't listen to this kind of things. You should just listen to me. I told you already from the beginning of the first semester how you sit for your speaking online. We did this now. Whatever comment that I give you, that is it. I don't want to burden your brain with don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. In the end, you become afraid of talking. Ini takut pula nak cakap. Boleh cakap ke? Tak boleh cakap ke? Basically, people are giving you marks on your speaking. If you don't speak, you are afraid what to give mark on. That's why you don't listen, you don't hear much of a tips and tricks for me. I tak suka benda gitu. You have to talk. In the end, it's about you talking. Kalau you tak cakap, orang bagi makan macam mana? Itu je. Simple as that. So, task B, talk. The do's and don'ts, the simple je. Before this, you can ask the examiner. Now, you cannot. Which means if the instruction is there, the question is there, asking you things, and you don't know certain word, what certain word means, you cannot ask the examiner anymore. Tu dia. Kalau nak cubalah, tak potong angkat pun. You have to understand also, the examiners, they are not robots, they are people. When there are 2 examiners, the Q and the R, they have to tally the marks. Baru dia boleh bagi markah. Bukan suka-suka hati bagi, no. So, in the group discussion, nama assessment tu, the name of the assessment is group discussion. So you have to discuss in your groups. If you don't discuss in your groups, then it doesn't become group discussion, it becomes individual. individual task A. You see, task A and task B, they are under the same team. Tema yang sama. But usually, what you do in task A is almost useless in task B. Okay, this is an example. This is not a question, but example. For example, task A, they ask you about healthy diet. So you talk about healthy diet. But in task B, they may say that you are now having diabetes. What to avoid? Nampak? It's still under the same team of diet, but it's almost unrelated. Maybe some you can still use, but some you cannot. It's not like before. So if before, candidate A is going to talk about the best mode of transportation is the bus. Public transportation is the bus. So task B also she's going to talk about that. This one is different. Just like we did before, macam itulah dia. Okay? So remember, talk. Prompt. If your friend is not really talking, try to help them talk. Candidate C, you've been quite quiet. You did mention about Grab being the best public transportation out there right now. Would you care to explain a bit about it? Tinggi sangat. Okay, rendahkan. Try to make them speak juga. But do not force yourself. Kalau dia tak boleh juga, dah habis. Continue. Task B is not about monopolizing. You nak monopolize, you cakap dengan task A lah. Tak ada orang kacau. Task B is discussion. Ingat, nama pun dah discussion. Discuss. Okay, that's number 2. Maybe later on you akan dapat that message. Ignore. Listen to me. Examiner. Ni examiner dah cakap. Who happens to be your lecturer as well. Right? Don't believe in this kind of things. One analogy I can give you. You are set to arrive in Heathrow Airport, London. Tomorrow, your flight is 6 a.m. from KLIA. You've never flown before in your life. Never. Kuantan KL pun kau tak pernah buat. 35 minutes punya flight pun you tak pernah buat. Ni nak pergi ke Heathrow Airport ni daripada KLIA. 14 hours direct, non-stop. Bukan duduk first class. Duduk ekonomi. Patah punggung. Bukan mas Asia. Degrade. Asia dia cram the seat a bit. Dia tak seluas mas. It's business lah kan. You've never flown before. So many things is playing in your head. Macam mana lah terbang, takutlah nak kentang, kapal terbang gegar apa semua. Things lah, benda tak pernah buat. No? You never done this before. So, question playing in your head. But what you have in your heart is, aku tak kena buat juga. Aku kena buat ni. If I don't do this, I will never explore new things in life. Ada semangat ni, tak kira. Whatever happens, aku pergi. Tu crash kapal terbang. A380, yang double decker tu, yang the Boeing yang macam ada kepala ikan kalui dia besar tu, 600 orang mati sekaligus. Dah. Panic attack. Nak pergi tak pergi, bayar dah 2,000. It becomes that. So this is what this kind of messages do to you. Nak peksa esok ni. Dah. Have you said already? No yet? Ada yang dah? Semua belum? When? Tomorrow? Later on? Tomorrow? Nasib baik kau tak duduk ni cuma bodoh. Aku cerita kau orang dah duduk kan? So that is the same effect it gives you. This panic attack. So don't listen to that. Listen to me. Don't care about that crash because it's very, very rare for someone to be in a plane crash. The odds are 1 out of 11,000 flights, 11 million flights untuk jadi crash. You are most likely to have a accident on the way to the airport. Itu 1 of 5,000. Use mathematics, use the number, use facts. Okay? So that's number 2. Number 1 just now is about people telling you how Muet is not important. Band 2 also can enter. Kau cubalah minta medik dengan band 2 tengok jadi apa. Nak percaya budak tu, nak percaya I tu budak. Okay? So number 2 is about speaking. Okay? When you get the message later on, ignore, listen to me. Number 3. Writing letter. Letter reply. Writing 1 for your writing later on. Have I written your paper? You are class? InsyaAllah, if not today, tomorrow. I tanda skip. That's why I open siapa yang nak hantar. Because if I wajibkan semua hantar, takut tak dan nak ni, ada kerja-kerja lain juga. Anyways, I noticed that you answered questions with yes. Directly starting the paragraph with yes. Directly starting the first paragraph with I'm doing fine. Dear John, I'm doing fine. Who asked you? Orang tak jawab soalan gitu. This is not WhatsApp message. WhatsApp message je lah. Hantar, PA, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. Tak apa lah. This is a mail. People sending you mail. That is to start off the first paragraph. People usually do that when people write letters. Dear Aminah, how are you? I'm doing fine. I hope everything is fine for you. Benda macam gitu lah. Tak, you start. Dear PA, I'm fine. So you should start with Dear PA. In this case, John broke his toe, kan? Dear John, I heard about your toe. I really hope everything is fine. Shows your concern. Some of you don't even bother. Dear John, the trip was awesome. Sial kat kawan, dah tak ada pergi. Punyalah selfish, you want to talk about yourself, you tak kira pun pasal kawan yang patah apa nama? Ibu jari kaki. Boleh bayangkan patah ibu jari kaki. So you just imagine that. So you don't start like that. Analyze the recipient's letter. Analyze. Apa dia cakap kat situ? In this case, he just broke his toe. That's a point for you. And then he did ask, how was the instructor? I heard he was good. You pun terus jawab, yes. You start the paragraph with yes. Yes to what? Yes, I agree. Mr. Lim is a very good instructor. Yes to what? So that's not how you start. Why don't you start the paragraph with, you did ask about the instructor. I must tell you, he was the guy, the person to do this. He's just great, not to mention easy on the eyes. Jangan start dengan yes terus. You faham tak? And try to understand the context. Don't write the letter, don't write the reply as if that person writing to you is sitting in Sabah or Sarawak. It seems that they send the letter to you that you are from the same school. So, John is staying at home sebab apa nama ibu jari dia patah. So he sends you the letter. It seems that you are from the same school. You tulis macam dia sekolah jauh. Kau ni pas handphone ni kenapa kau ni? Nantilah tanya tu. Ni dengar ni dulu ni. Understand the context of the letter first. Fahamkan dulu. Jangan main tulis je. It's not supposed to be that difficult. Before this, you have to do analysis and synthesis now. You have to import information from tables and graphs into writing. Lagi susah. In the year 1991, Megah Holding lost 100,000 ringgit due to the pandemic. Dulu, lagi susah. Now tulis juga je, takkanlah susah sangat. Okay? One very important thing, no matter what exam you are sitting for, remember the instruction. You have to read the instruction. The instruction is there for a reason, bukan sesaja letak. It's important for you to read instructions. It's pivotal for you to notice, to give extra attention to bolded words and sentences. If they bold it, meaning it's important. Faham lagi? So be careful there. And in the instruction says not less than 100 words. If they put not less than 100 words for task A, doesn't mean you can write up to 2,000 words. They say not less than 100 words, write 120 ke, in between there. Jangan panjang-panjang sangat. It's supposed to be short. Because you have a longer essay to write later on after that. You are not supposed to spend too much time in task A. Because a lot more thinking has to be done for task B. Faham? Okay, so those are the 3 things for today's class. Any other questions? Okay, so that is for today's class, right?